All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on a really impressive piece of tech, the AI-powered prototyping platform, Proto Limited. We're going to break down exactly how this thing works from the ground up. So let's start with a question that, every creator, every developer has run into. You've got this brilliant idea, right? Especially an AI-driven one. But that gap between the idea in your head and a real working prototype, well, it can feel massive. So how do you actually bridge that gap and do it fast? And that right there is where Proto Limited comes in. See, it's a full stack platform. Now, what does that really mean? It means it's built to handle the entire journey, the whole shebang, from that first little spark of an idea all the way to generating AI assets and even simulating how they're going to perform out in the real world. Okay, so how does a platform like this actually do all of that? Well, it all starts with a foundational layer. Think of it like a set of 8 core building blocks. These are basically the essential subsystems that power every single feature you see. Yup, that's it, just 8. And the best way to think about them is like super-powered digital Legos. Seriously, each one is its own distinct, powerful system, but, and this is the key, they're all designed to just snap together perfectly to create one totally seamless experience. And here they are. Let's take a quick look. I mean, each one of these tackles a really critical part of the whole creative process. You've got the rapid prototyping engine, obviously for speed. There's a simulation sandbox so you can test ideas safely without breaking anything. And one of my favorites, the Prompt Refinement Studio, for really dialing in your AI instructions. But it's not just that. It's got tools for mapping requirements, for debugging, even for managing deployment. It really is a complete toolkit. Okay, so we've got these 8 powerful blocks, but how do they all talk to each other? How do they work together? Well, the magic is really in the connections. The entire system is built on what's called a modern microservices architecture. And look, this is a really key decision because it means each one of those blocks can be updated and scaled on its own, which makes the whole platform way more flexible and, resilient. And this right here, this is basically the heart of the system. Every single request, everything that happens, flows through the central API gateway. Just think of it like the platform's air traffic controller. It uses pretty standard stuff like Express.js for routing, but then it uses GraphQL, which is super cool because it lets different parts of the platform ask for exactly the data they need. No more, no less. It makes all the communication incredibly efficient. So the first set of services plugging into this gateway are what you'd call the foundational ones. I mean, these guys handle the absolute basics. You've got the Auth service, that's for logging in, the user service for managing profiles, and the file service for, all your uploads. They're the bedrock that everything else is built on. Okay, building on top of that foundation, now we get to the services where the real creative work happens. This is the fun stuff. You've got the AI engine, which does all the heavy lifting for the actual generation. Then there's the prototype service, which manages the whole lifecycle of your creations. And of course, a notification service to keep you in the loop on how everything's going. And to round it all out, there's an analytics service that tracks events so you can get insights on what's happening. And all of this, all of it, is supported by a rock-solid infrastructure. We're talking a PostgreSQL database to store all the data, a Redis cache to make things super fast, and a load balancer like Nginx to handle all the traffic. I mean, it's a classic, robust, and really scalable setup. Okay, now for the part I know you've been waiting for. Let's zoom way in on the most critical component of all, that collection of services that makes up the creative AI engine. This, my friends, is where ideas literally become reality. So here's the thing you have to understand. Creating with AI isn't just a one-and-done command. It's more like a conversation. And the Prompt Refinement Studio is what guides you through this iterative loop. You start with your idea, your prompt, then you get to fine-tune all these little parameters, stuff like guidance, scale, and dimensions. The AI generates a result, and then you get to refine it and go again. It's this back and forth that gives you such incredible creative control. So what's actually powering this creative loop? What's under the hood? Well, the engine uses industry-standard models, like Stable Diffusion for the main image generation. But what's really cool, in my opinion, is the use of ControlNet. This thing lets you guide the AI with a specific pose or an outline. So instead of just relying on a text prompt, you get way more precise control over the final image. And that VAE thing? That just helps translate the images into a language the AI can understand, and then back again for you to see.
And once you've generated your AI assets, they don't just get dumped into some random folder. No, they enter a really structured workflow that's managed by the prototype service. It's this clean, 5-step lifecycle that takes your idea from a simple draft all the way to a published asset. And you can see there's a clear loop for revisions and feedback. It's basically project management, but built specifically for creators.
All right, so this all sounds fantastic in theory, right? But is it actually practical? Let's switch gears a little and focus on the real-world stuff. Deployment, cost, and of course, security. Okay, let's talk numbers. The whole platform is designed to scale right along with your needs. You can start with an MVP tier, that's minimum viable product, for about $655 a month, which is perfect for just getting started. Then, as you grow, you can jump up to a production tier, and for really large-scale operations, there's a full-on enterprise option. And this bar chart here really makes that scaling model crystal clear. As the cost goes up, it's because you're getting more resources and more features. We're talking about things like enhanced monitoring, a content delivery network, and all those enterprise-grade compliance goodies. You're basically just paying for the power you actually need. Now, for all the developers watching this, the workflow is designed to be super seamless. You can actually run the entire platform right on your local machine for development and testing, just with a simple command. And then, when you're ready to go live, deployment is totally streamlined for modern cloud providers like Vercel and Railway. And of course, none of this means anything without solid security, right? So the platform protects against all the common web attacks using what's known as OWASP compliance standards. It secures logins with JWT tokens. Just think of those as secure digital keys for every time a user logs in. And on top of all that, the whole system is ready for two-factor authentication, which adds yet another layer of protection. So after all that, after breaking down this entire architecture, from those 8 core building blocks and that intricate web of microservices, all the way to the powerful AI engine and its real-world readiness, it kind of leaves us with one last big question. What could you create with this kind of power at your fingertips?